At my daughter's seaside wedding, her fiancé sneered. Cough up $50,000 for this privilege, or disappear for good. I blinked, and my daughter chimed in, or embrace loneliness in a retirement home. I sipped my champagne, flashed a smile, and murmured, "You overlook something." Their faces blanched, and moments later, pandemonium broke loose, without me lifting a finger. "You overlook something." Those words slipped from my lips like silk-wrapped blades, barely audible over the steady rhythm of waves crashing against the flawless Cape Cod coast. The champagne in my glass shimmered in the amber glow of sunset as I lifted it to my mouth, locking eyes with my daughter and her new spouse. I hadn't intended to speak those words, not yet, but seeing Rebecca's meticulously painted face shift from icy scorn to fleeting doubt sparked a satisfaction I hadn't expected. 3 hours earlier, I'd arrived solo at the Ocean View Resort. My cab rolled up to the grand entrance, where valets in pristine white uniforms ushered guests from sleek luxury cars. The driver, noticing my hesitation, offered a warm grin. "Gorgeous spot for a wedding," he remarked, helping me with my single overnight bag. "Yes," I replied, smoothing my department store dress, the finest I owned, a soft blue number I'd saved for over 6 months of tips. "My daughter's getting married." The pride I tried to inject into those words felt hollow as I stepped onto the impeccably groomed grounds. Rows of white chairs, draped in extravagant floral displays, faced the sea. Crystal glasses refracted sunlight, casting rainbows across elegantly arranged tables. Women in high-end dresses glided through the crowd, their laughter light and melodic like the champagne poured into flutes worth more than my weekly grocery budget. A statuesque woman with flawless skin glanced my way, her eyes scanning me from head to toe, pausing briefly on my practical heels and modest handbag, not designer, but the best I could manage. Her faint grimace said it all before she turned away, dismissing me without a word. I gripped my invitation tighter, searching the crowd for my daughter. Rebecca had insisted I arrive early to assist with last-minute tasks, yet no one seemed to expect me. After 15 minutes of aimless wandering, I spotted her in a white silk robe, surrounded by bridesmaids in a private garden nook. "Mom, you're late," she said instead of greeting me, barely glancing up from her phone. Her tone carried a sharpness honed during her college years. "Everyone's been wondering where you were." A lie, of course. No one had sought me out. "The ceremony starts in 2 hours," she added, finally meeting my gaze. "Your dress is okay. Just don't make a scene today, all right?" Her words stung more than they should have, but this wasn't unfamiliar ground. I nodded, forcing a smile as she directed a wedding coordinator to escort my mother to her seat. Confused, I asked, "For the reception?" Rebecca sighed, as if I were being obtuse. "No, Mom, you're at table 19. It's in the back, away from the family photos." The coordinator, a young woman with compassionate eyes, gave me a sympathetic look as she guided me away. "Would you like a drink while you wait, Mrs. Foster?" "Grace," I corrected softly. "Maybe some water." 2 hours later, I watched my radiant daughter glide down the aisle toward David Harrington, heir to a Boston real estate dynasty. Rebecca glowed in a designer gown worth more than 3 months of my rent. I'd offered to contribute to its cost, but she'd laughed, saying, "Mom, you couldn't afford the veil, let alone the dress." During the ceremony, I sat alone in the second-to-last row, surrounded by distant acquaintances and colleagues who chatted among themselves, ignoring the bride's mother. I didn't cry during their vows. Something inside me had hardened months ago, solidifying with each subtle rejection. At the cocktail hour, David approached, holding 2 champagne flutes. For a moment, I felt a spark of hope, a gesture of connection, perhaps. "Grace," he said with a polished smile that never reached his eyes. "Enjoying yourself?" "It's a stunning wedding," I replied cautiously, accepting the drink. "You and Rebecca must be thrilled." "We are," he said, glancing around to ensure privacy. "Though we still need to discuss your contribution." I froze, the flute halfway to my lips. "Contribution?" "Yes," David continued smoothly, his voice slick with charm. "Rebecca mentioned you'd help with the final wedding expenses. $50,000 should do it." The champagne turned sour in my mouth. "David, I don't have that kind of money." His smile didn't waver, but his eyes grew cold. "Grace, we've been accommodating, given your circumstances." But appearances matter in our world. Rebecca's already embarrassed by your background. The least you can do is offset the inconvenience. Inconvenience? I echoed, stunned by his boldness. There you are. Rebecca appeared at David's side, her gown catching the sunset's glow like a storybook princess who'd forgotten her roots. Mom, has David mentioned our arrangement? He mentioned $50,000. I said quietly. Rebecca's smile stayed fixed, her voice dropping to a whisper. It's a small price, considering all we've done for you. We included you, despite David's parents' objections. We gave you a seat at the reception. If you can't contribute, maybe it's best we part ways. What are you saying? I asked, though I already knew. There's a nice retirement home in Arizona where you'd be out of the way, she said coolly. It's simple. Pay to stay in our lives or vanish. I stared at my daughter and her new husband, standing before me like monarchs addressing a commoner. 18 years of sacrifice, 3 jobs to fund her college, my retirement savings poured into her boutique, all erased. A calm resolve settled over me. I sipped my champagne slowly, letting the moment linger, then met their confident gazes and whispered, "You overlooked something." The flicker of fear in their eyes was unmistakable. They hadn't expected resistance. "Excuse me," I said, rising smoothly. "I need to freshen up." As I walked away, their stares burned into my back. They had no clue what was coming, what I'd been preparing for months. The chaos that would unfold was entirely their doing, and I wouldn't need to lift a finger. As I moved away from Rebecca and David, my heels clicking on the polished stone path toward the resort's main building, memories surged, not of the wedding, but of a night 18 years ago that changed everything. Rain hammered the windows of our cramped Boston apartment as I pressed my trembling fingers to my bruised cheek. Tom, my husband, had finally passed out after his latest outburst, his snores rumbling like distant thunder. 4-year-old Rebecca had seen it all from the hallway, clutching her stuffed rabbit, silent tears streaming down her face. She'd already learned that noise during Daddy's rages made things worse. That was the moment I decided. Not because it was the worst beating. It wasn't, but because of the look in my daughter's eyes. Recognition, understanding, the dawning realization that this was what love looked like. That night, I moved with quiet precision, packing essentials into a single duffel bag. Rebecca's favorite clothes, her rabbit, our passports, and $237 in cash I'd hidden in a hollowed-out copy of Pride and Prejudice. When I lifted a sleeping Rebecca from her bed, her small arms curled around my neck. "Are we going on a quest, Mommy?" she whispered. "Yes, sweetheart," I replied, my voice steady despite the terror pulsing through me. "The greatest quest." We vanished into the rainy night, catching the last bus to Dorchester, where my high school friend Maggie offered us shelter until I could rebuild. 2 weeks later, I found a tiny apartment, a single bedroom with a kitchenette and a bathroom so small you could touch the sink while on the toilet. The building reeked of cabbage and cigarette smoke, but the landlord didn't pry when I paid 3 months' rent up front with my first paychecks. The pull-out couch in the living room became my bed for 7 years, my body aching after long shifts at Sonny's Diner, where I served breakfast and lunch, followed by evenings answering phones at Dr. Miller's dental office. Between those grueling hours were precious moments. Rebecca's face lighting up when she read her first full sentence from a second-hand book. The cat sat on the mat, her voice bursting with pride. "I did it, Mommy. You're the brightest girl in the world," I told her, meaning every syllable. We celebrated small victories with grocery store cupcakes, $12.99 for a pack of 6, rationed over days. A lost tooth, straight A's, a spelling bee win, each marked with a choice of frosting color. "One day," I promised her at our rickety kitchen table, "you'll have every chance I never had. College, beautiful clothes, no worries about money." "Will you be there, Mommy?" she asked, blue frosting on her lip. "Always," I vowed. I kept that vow through her school years, saving for college from the time she was 10, depositing whatever I could, sometimes just $5 a week, into a dedicated account. When her Boston University acceptance letter arrived, she danced around our apartment, the prestigious letterhead in her hands. "I got in, Mom." That night, after she slept, I cried from pride and panic over tuition her partial scholarship wouldn't cover. By morning, I had a plan. adding weekend inventory shifts at a department store and cleaning houses in Back Bay twice a week. My life became a whirlwind of uniforms, bus routes, and stolen naps between shifts. When Rebecca visited from her dorm, I hid my exhaustion behind bright smiles and dyed hair to cover the gray. "You look amazing, Mom," she'd say, and I'd feel relief that she couldn't see the nights I collapsed still in my shoes. The change was slow, almost invisible at first. During her freshman and sophomore years, Rebecca brought laundry home, and we talked for hours about her classes, friends, and dreams. She introduced me to her roommates with pride. "My mom works harder than anyone." But in her junior year, something shifted. She visited less, often glued to her phone when she did. The first time she seemed ashamed of me was when her friend Alyssa, from a wealthy Connecticut family, visited our apartment. "This is quaint," Alyssa said, eyeing our mismatched furniture and the ceiling's damp spot. "We're moving soon," Rebecca lied quickly. "Mom hasn't had time to house hunt." Later, alone, she suggested staying at school on weekends. "The library's better for my business classes," she said, avoiding my eyes. I swallowed the pain. "Whatever helps you succeed, sweetheart." Her graduation was a triumph, her business degree opening doors I'd never dreamed of. I sat in the audience, cheeks sore from smiling, hands raw from extra shifts but hidden in gloves as I clapped louder than anyone. 2 weeks later, at 11:43 p.m., my phone rang as I collapsed after a double shift. "Mom, are you awake?" Rebecca's voice trembled. "I found it, my dream, my purpose." She described a vacant storefront in Beacon Hill, exposed brick, hardwood floors, perfect for a boutique selling unique pieces for professional women. "But I need startup capital," she admitted. "The landlord wants first and last month's rent plus a deposit by next week, then renovations, inventory, marketing," her voice broke. "No bank will loan to a recent grad with no business history." "How much?" I asked, already knowing my answer. $97,000, she said after a pause. "It might as well have been $1 million, but I had my retirement fund, modest, but built over 18 years. I'll get it to you by Monday," I promised. Her gasp was audible. "Mom, that's everything you have?" "Not everything," I said softly. "I have you." 3 days later, I sat in Sarah Miller's office, my high school friend turned paralegal. I'd helped her through a divorce years ago, letting her crash on my pull-out couch. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked, reviewing the paperwork to liquidate my retirement account. "This is all you've saved." "I'm sure," I said. Sarah's lips tightened. "Then we do it my way." She drafted partnership papers, giving me 51% silent ownership to protect both me and Rebecca. I reluctantly agreed, never planning to control her dream. Rebecca signed the papers without reading, too thrilled about securing the storefront. Rebecca's closet opened 3 months later. I stayed in the background at the modest grand opening, watching her charm customers with curated inventory. The boutique struggled initially, and I quietly funneled more savings to cover rent, never mentioning it. Rebecca worked tirelessly, building the business sale by sale. Then, a miracle, Alyssa, now a lifestyle influencer, posted a photo in a blue dress from the boutique, and it went viral. Lines formed outside, inventory sold out, and local media hailed Rebecca's closet as a hidden gem. Within 6 months, Rebecca planned to expand next door. I watched with pride, my daughter, succeeding beyond my wildest dreams. I stayed away during business hours, sensing my presence didn't fit the upscale image. "You should visit during the day," Rebecca said occasionally, but her tone lacked conviction. "Your world, not mine," I'd reply lightly. The first real wound came unexpectedly. I stopped by early one evening to surprise her with dinner after a successful week. The boutique was open, customers browsing. I lingered near a rack of cashmere sweaters when a woman praised the store to Rebecca. "How did you build this right out of college?" she asked. I waited for Rebecca to mention our partnership, my sacrifices. Instead, she tossed her hair and said, "I created this from scratch, pure determination and vision. No one gave me anything." The words struck like blows. No one gave me anything. I backed away, dinner forgotten, and slipped out, erased from her story. After that, I kept my distance, reviewing financials Sarah sent, handling paperwork, and becoming a ghost in her success. Then came a rare invitation, the Boston Chamber of Commerce's Small Business Gala, where Rebecca was honored as an entrepreneur under 30. "I need a +1, she said. "Will you come?" Surprised, I splurged on a hair appointment and a clearance dress from Nordstrom Rack. "You look nice, Mom," she said, mildly surprised. At the gala, she shone, working the room with ease. During her speech, she omitted me again, but I was prepared. A man approached, David Harrington, of the real estate Harringtons. "Impressive young woman," he said, eyeing Rebecca. "She's my daughter," I replied. He reassessed me, noting my modest attire. "And you are?" "Grace Foster," I said. "I'm in the service industry." Rebecca joined us, and I watched sparks fly between her and David. Within minutes, he had her number and a promise to visit her boutique. Their romance moved fast, dates, gifts, inseparability. Rebecca's calls to me dwindled, our dinners canceled for David's plans. I noticed red flags. David showcased her to his friends but kept her from his family, gave lavish gifts creating unspoken debts, and offered helpful critiques that belittled her. When I raised concerns, she deflected. "He's teaching me how his world works." 4 months in, I learned of their engagement via a Facebook post, a diamond ring captioned, "I said yes to forever." No call, no warning. "Were you going to tell me?" I asked. "Oh, Mom, I was going to call tonight," she said, dismissive. Then came a text not meant for me from David. "Your mom can't sit with my family at dinner. My parents would be appalled. Put her with the vendor staff." No defense from Rebecca. 2 weeks later, at her apartment, I found a wedding planning spreadsheet on her open laptop. A tab labeled Mom Management outlined strategies to minimize my visibility, keep me busy with trivial tasks, and extract financial contributions while planning to cut me out post-wedding. David's note read, "After the wedding, distance becomes easier." Sickened, I called Sarah. "If I activated my 51% ownership, what would happen?" "You could audit, freeze assets, or take control," she said. "What's going on?" "I'm preparing a contingency," I replied. Sarah and I gathered evidence. Unauthorized investor meetings, diverted funds, plans to dilute my ownership post-wedding. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked before the ceremony. "Once you start, there's no undoing it." "I'll know when," I said. Their $50,000 ultimatum was the trigger. After whispering, "You overlooked something," I slipped away to a dune alcove, texting Sarah, "Sandcastle time." Her reply, "Understood. Packages delivering now. Legal team ready." "You okay?" "I will be," I texted back. From a hidden vantage point, I watched the chaos unfold. Envelopes with legal notices reached David's parents and boutique investors. Rebecca's business emails sent alerts announcing an audit, asset freeze, and investigation. David argued with his father, who clutched damning documents. Rebecca rushed to me, panicked. "Mom, what's happening?" "Everyone's getting emails about the boutique." "Not crazy," I said calmly. "Accurate. I'm exercising my rights as majority owner." David hissed. "What have you done?" "Protected my investment," I replied. "Did you think I wouldn't notice the unauthorized investors? The $200,000 diverted to your failed South End project." Rebecca stammered, "We can explain. It was for expansion." "Into David's side project." I finished. "Without my approval." David's father looked furious, his gestures wild. "Your family has connections?" I asked David. "They don't seem pleased about your boutique piggy bank." Rebecca's tears ruined her makeup. "Mom, please, you'll destroy everything." "Everything I built," I corrected, "that you claimed as yours." She grabbed my arm. "You can't do this. I'm your daughter." I wavered, maternal instincts flaring, but remembered their calculated cruelty. "I already did," I said. "You showed me my worth to you." As their phones buzzed with alerts, David offered, "We'll pay more than $50,000, double, triple." I shook my head. This was never about money. Rebecca pleaded, "How do I fix this?" "You can't," I said. "Some things, once broken, stay broken." I walked away, moving through the chaos with calm dignity. At the property's edge, I kicked off my heels, carrying them as I stepped onto the public beach. The sunset gilded my path as I walked toward a new future. Sarah waited 3 miles away in her sedan, ready to help me start a small boutique for women who valued substance over status, not to replace what I'd lost, but to build something for me. I never glanced back at the resort or the wreckage. I'd given Rebecca everything. Now it was my turn. If this tale of poetic justice had you gripped, hit that like button. My favorite moment was when Grace murmured, "You overlooked something," knowing her meticulously planned reckoning was unfolding. What was your favorite part? Share it in the comments. For more gripping stories, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss an upload.